And live
Yeah,
Kiwi.
live. Hey guys,
happening,
how's
brothers?
it going?
Was that?
We've got quite a few people in the house already.
Oh yeah, they're stacked up, bro. They're waiting to get at you.
Mexican Specs here, Dr. Art, Chris Freemazer.
Yeah, up there they are.
Who else?
Jay
We got?
Weiss.
Jay Weiss.
Don't leave him out of there. So you saw Dr. Art. You saw what he's thinking about doing here, right?
I did, and I have to say that I don't know what to say.
Well, bro, you should be honored, man. That that your friends are coming after you.
Well, yeah, there you go. It certainly has some patina, that Challenger.
It's got patina, bro. You know what I mean? It's got patina.
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever going to go again, but we'll see.
It'll go just fine. It'll be perfect. So I had Kathy pick this up because I noticed sometimes we there's like miscommunications with us. So I'm going to have Kathy send this to you. It's a nice book. So
Secrets of the Working Mind. Okay.
Yeah, you think it's about dogs, but it's not. So I'm going to send that off to you so you can have a better understanding of my side of the thing. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. That'll be helpful. Yeah.
Of course it will. Mrs. Kiwi can read it to you.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got here? Joe K says we are so live. We are. This is the livest I've been in hours. Let's see. Joe K has yet to watch the patina video. Well, go ahead. We'll wait. Nothing will happen until you get back here. Go watch the video. We're friends like that. Who needs enemies? And that's what I've always said. Kiwi needs no enemies. I'm his butt. Kiwi. The patina challenge versus the Holy Goat. I was thinking about the Holy Goat today. That's. Have you ever seen the Holy Goat?
I'm not sure.
I can't think of the name of the channel. That's the coolest thing. They found this 69 GTO that had been in a field and used as target practice.
Right.
For decades. So the thing has a zillion holes in it, a zillion bullet holes. So they dragged it out of the field and they got it running, and now they drive this thing around.
Huh.
It's called the Holy Goat. It's got like 1,000 bullet holes in it.
Well, that makes for a good name, yeah.
Kiwi says just Jake Russell Finch says Kiwi, just don't look in his eyes. It's true. It's true.
There you go. Dr. Art, he was shocked that someone in the comments for that video didn't even know who the heck I was.
How is that possible, bro? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Let's see. Gail
John Overstreet, feel bad for the person who lost their shot. I was surprised how much was recognizable. Yeah, I did feel bad for the guy who owned that.
I felt bad for him. I felt bad for him too. And I made sure he knew last night, I really genuinely felt bad. But, you can only go so far with that. And then it's like, well, here it is. It is what it is. So,
yeah.
If you can't have fun with it, you can't,
Yeah.
Let's see. Thomas 67 needs help. Kiwi, Thomas.
I need help. I'm deciding between 373 and a 355, roughly 500 horsepower, big block Chevy, plus 100 horsepower. I plan on doing lots of street racing, but also driving to work. What would you do? Lots of street, probably 373. I mean, it depends a little bit on what transmission you're running too.
Well, I mean, it's a nitrous deal. So nitrous is all about torque. So I'm assuming he doesn't really care what the car's NA performance is. So I would say the 355s. And you could even drop it down lower than that. A 320, 330 gear set would probably be just fine because he's spraying it. And it's instant torque. And the tighter you load the motor down, the more efficient it'll be out of the hole, the more power you're going to make. So I'd say, yeah, the 355s are even taller gear than that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've got very little experience. Well, no, I shouldn't say very little. I've got nil experience with nitrous. So, yeah.
Well, I don't have much experience with nitrous, but I have tons of experience with nitro. And they act the same way. They do the same basic thing.
So, I was reading somewhere that, the best times they get on these top fuel cars are on a couple of the uphill tracks that actually rise slightly because it loads the motor more and they make more power. like show them a hill so they just make more power.
So when I came along, when I started screwing out with fuel cars, it was the transition from what they used to call the Star Wars days to the modern era. And the Star Wars days was a 2-speed transmission and like a 430 gear. Okay, and you used to spin these motors like 8,500 through the lights. Well, people started dropping them back. Once they started pouring real volume into them, they started bringing the gear ratios back until they were like in the 290s, the 290 range. And they were going faster with 290s, and the previous generation tune-up had gone with like 430s. Then in the NHRA, it was like, okay, that's too much because a mile an hour at the time was starting to really creep up. So they wanted to tone it back, and they eliminated everybody to a 320 gear, which may or may not still be in effect today. I don't know.
Right.
But figure the height of those tires on a 36-inch tall tire, whatever the hell they are, however, with all of the growth, and then a 320 gear, figure out what the torque multiplication is. But it's all because it's about torque. And like you said, slightly uphill is a benefit.
Yeah.
To a car.
Yeah, which sounds completely backwards, but that's the deal.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! What?
Like that. You freaked me out. You want this book back?
Yes.
All right, yeah. All right, here she wants. Come in here and get it. You have to be on camera. Come on.
No,
Come get your book. Come on, look, it's right here. Come get your book. She doesn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. She's doing YouTube for 5 years. She doesn't want to go on.
Mexican speak. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm doing well.
There you go.
I'm doing well. Getting over COVID, but yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good. Feeling better now. So
the Rona.
Yeah.
Okay,
someone was asking a tech question about an intake manifold there. Where did it go?
I see that.
Miles Germain. You'd have to. That's strictly on you, Tony. I have no idea.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Have you heard the 66 272 commando intake having different bolt pattern, different bolt attachment angles to a 67 273 318 head than the earlier 273s? Yes. It was 64, 65, and 66. They use the bolt holes go in at a different angle than the later ones. So the later one is the same as the 318s, 340s, 360s. All the LA motors all use that bolt pattern, more that bolt angle, I should say. But the earlier 273s, the first 3 years of 273, the bolts go in at a different angle. So yes, that is true.
There you go. Now you know.
That said, I've done it. Anybody who's had to deal with this at one time or another have done it. You can oblong the holes and grind a little flat in there to make the regular to bolt early manifold on a later engine. Okay. Fixing on it, Garage says he's glad you're on the mend.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
I'm glad you survived, bro. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Sizemore, any car shows you're hitting this year you want to throw out there? No, I just sneak in. I sneak in, I walk around, and I leave. Kiwi, you going to any shows this year?
I'm definitely going to go to the Rat Rod Rumble this year. That's in June, I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm going to take Large Marge to that. I think she'll fit in there.
Dude, you've adopted this whole new culture.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Change is as good as a rest, huh?
Nice.
Yeah. But no, I've been collecting parts for old Large Marge and got all the badges for it. I've hunted around and found all the missing Plymouth and Suburban badges.
Did you find the trim though?
Haven't got the trim yet. I have found some of it, but not all of it. So,
has Scott from Cold War Motors gotten back to you yet?
He's emailed me, but I've been kind of down and I haven't responded. I've responded just briefly to him, but I've got
to take that
some pictures and stuff. What's that?
He's going to take that personally. Like you're blowing him off, man.
I'll have to respond to him again. So just tell him where I disappeared to. But yeah, today's the first day I've kind of been worth being around, really.
Well, you look lovely to me, bro.
There you go.
You're wearing pants.
Oh yes, I am wearing pants. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Nikos, how are you, Eric? What an adventure you had. Great following your lives on your big adventure. Well, that's good. I mean, I was really surprised by how many people actually seem to enjoy the lives. But So yeah, it was good. It was fun for me as well. It kind of it passed the time. It's a long way from San Diego to Nashville. It's a lot of windshield time, especially at 60 mile an hour. Like it takes a little while. Jeff Hutchins, Marge has an A466 transmission. Yes, I had actually found that out the hard way when we were trying to find seals and stuff for it for the front of it. So yeah, I did come across that piece of information, but thank you anyway. The formula.
Yes. Do you see a problem with nitrous on a dual plane intake sprayed through a plate? Not at all, as long as there's no divider there. Right, which is like a standard operating procedure when you're dealing with a dual plane intake manifold that has a divider, is to cut down the divider. Basically, you're making yourself a plenum, a real plenum, like a single plane would have. So if you are going to run nitrous on a dual plane intake manifold, cut down the plenum, the divider wall in the plenum somewhat. Right, but no problem with it. It doesn't care. The nitrous don't care. It don't care. It'll follow whatever path there is. Richard Stansbury, Kiwi, fess up. Did you purposely make the camera go black and white on your road trip?
No, I don't know how that happened. I really don't. I'd love to do it again, but I don't even know how I did it. It did kind of look cool, I must admit, because it was black and white on my display as well. So, but yeah, no idea how I managed to do that. I must admit I'd kind of forgotten about doing that. I should kind of Google around and see if there is a way of. Probably just me being not very tech minded. I probably just hit the wrong button and it happened, and I just don't know what I did, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's the answer to that one. Mexican spec said, are pants mandatory? Yeah,
they're mandatory, man. Oh, please. You guys, what am I going to do with you guys? Guys should always be wearing pants. Always be wearing pants. In fact, after you take a shower, don't even bother drying off. Just pull those things right up, okay? And then, head out into the world like a man, okay? Let's see. Rocco, 449 15s and flat top pistons. Engine has an old Bryant 44 cam. Okay. Any harm advancing the cam 4 degrees? It's in straight up now. Okay, Rocco, I have to ask you. All right. The lift on the cam isn't really coming in. Okay, you're wondering. All right, no, you don't. You have zero worry about piston or valve interference. Now you're saying it's in straight up now. Now the question is it in straight up, meaning you put it in dot to dot, or did you actually check the advance retard on the cam to make sure that it's not ground with advance already in it? Because you could put a cam in, quote, straight up, meaning you installed it dot to dot. But if the cam has advanced ground into it already, you already might be 2 or 4 degrees advanced, which is very common on a high performance cam. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that your straight up is actually straight up. Excuse me. And that's it. You have split overlap. It's split overlap. Number one cylinder, top dead center, both intake and exhaust valves open, right? That's your split overlap or top dead center of the exhaust stroke. You have to make sure that they are even at that point. So the rule of thumb is you can check that. I did a video. Search my channel for degreeing a camshaft without a degree wheel, right? So you want to you lay a straight edge across the lifters. You want to make sure that at top dead center split overlap, that the lifters are exactly the same. It's 2 degrees for every 6 thousandths of an inch. So if you have one lifter 6 thousandths of an inch higher than the other, it means that it's 2 degrees, either advanced or retarded, depending on which direction we're talking. So 12 thousandths of an inch would be 4 degrees. So make sure before you start advancing or retarding camshafts that it already is ground straight up and you're not ground with advance. If that's the case, then yeah, by all means, put it up 4 degrees. It'll most performance cams on a street engine, it'll weight things up downstairs. So, and if it's already ground with advance in it, you're going to be advancing it to like 8 degrees. And now you're talking about something that's going to be very, very choppy and temperamental. So, did I answer that okay, Kiwi?
Yeah, that was good.
Because I lost myself.
Education.
I got lost halfway through, and I wasn't even sure if I was still here. I don't know.
Made sense to me.
Okay. Let's see. Glenn Nickerson. Mexican Zero. I know you. Whatever. Yes, he is the winner. What's that? Hoey. I wouldn't say that if Kiwi was sitting next to me. I wouldn't be saying what.
I'm guessing he's talking about the wearing of pants, but yeah, there you go.
I insist he wears pants when he sits.
He'd be at the door. He'd be in the next zip code.
Let's see. That's right, Zero. Somebody has to win. It might as well be you. If Kiwi's getting over COVID, hopefully they are social distancing. Yeah, we can't. We're far enough away from each other. No.
All we can do is this finger.
We tried that the last time. It was all screwed up because evidently on some people you're on this side, and so yeah.
Oh, okay. It was just a complete.
Remember that?
Yeah. Anyway.
It's a simple
request. I just know my bourbon's in my right hand, so I'm good.
I got my rich, creamy water. HTO.
What do we got going on here?
Jeff Hutchins. UTG, any truth to cams like Crowler that use Mopar wider lobes as opposed to Chevy with lobes on a Mopar cam to take advantage? Yes. That's an old cam grinder thing.
Open up the wall, the Biden treatment. Oh, jeez. Lucky me. Any way to make a manual clutch not so stiff? Yeah. There's a few variables in that question. Depends a little bit on how heavy duty your pressure plate is. Depends on some of your ratios and your clutch pedal. Is it all mechanical linkage clutch or is it hydraulic clutch? I know on the Mustangs they were a manual clutch with the Z-bar, and I know there's upgrades for them where they put needle roller bearings on the pedal and stuff like that to take some of the drag out of the system, because every pivot point, and there's several on the mechanical systems, and there's quite a few pivot points, and it's all drag because you're pushing hard, and if it's not gliding, then it's dragging. There are improvements to the mechanical setup, but really the hydraulic system is the way to go. And then it's just a matter of getting your hydraulics correct, and you can have a very light clutch even with a heavy duty pressure plate. So
there are so many different variables to the types of clutch linkage that you may have. So I don't really have an answer for that, other than is the clutch too heavy for the application? I mean, why are you using such a stiff clutch if that's a problem? Now, it could also be you can make a switch from a Borg and Beck to a diaphragm style. You can go from a 3-finger to a diaphragm style pressure plate. A
lot of variables in there.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just too many variables. If it was the kind of car that I typically deal with, it's got mechanical linkage, and I didn't want to change the clutch, but I wanted to lighten up the effort, the pedal effort. I would probably just drill a second hole in the clutch pedal, just exactly above the original one. So you probably get it all to fit in the stock packaging. So in other words, like the bars still go through the firewall, the linkage rod. I would just drill a hole just above. So they're almost touching the existing hole, and you'd be surprised how much of a difference that makes in terms of leverage. You have to go a little bit further to engage and disengage the clutch. So your sweet spot's going to be a little bit further in, but you're going to reduce the pedal effort by probably 10-20%.
Yep, it makes a big difference.
Yep.
Okay, Charlatan Zimmerman. Kiwi, hope you get better. Maybe you can bring large Marge to the Mopar meet in July at Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
There you go. There's a road trip for you.
There's a road trip. How far is Pennsylvania from here? That's a bit of a drive, isn't it?
Pennsylvania? Well, Carlisle from us is just over 650 miles.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit of a drive. Yeah.
That's nothing for you. Please, after
well, yeah, we've done 2,000 on a worn-out motor. We'll get that new poly in there and it'll fly.
Nothing. Let's see. SN90. I guess he's talking about an SN95 Mustang. I guess that's what he was. I guess that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, SN95s had a cable, and the cable's quite effective too. There's nothing wrong with the cable. It's just the hydraulics is it's a little bit more expensive typically, a hydraulic clutch, but it's they're effective.
Crippled Crab, we're having a great night, Crippled Crab. Yeah. Just to go back to that, right? Cables. One of the drawbacks of a cable clutch is that eventually the cable does start to unwind in there. So there's a possibility a lot of your pedal effort, the extra pedal effort, is you might be dragging a dead cable through the housing, where it's starting to fray and unwind a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like that happens with, motorcycle clutch cables. That happens with motorcycle clutch cables, where suddenly there's a lot of effort. There's a lot, and it doesn't really want to release as quickly as it's supposed to. And it means that someplace in that cable, it broke a strand or two, and that strand or two is becoming bound up between the inside of the cable and the cable itself. So check that. Is there any resistance to it releasing? So in other words, like if you just push the clutch to the floor and then sidestep the clutch, just slide your foot out of the way. Does the clutch go back up, or does it come up like this? Because as soon as if you sidestep it, it should snap right back up to the top. If it doesn't, you got a problem in the cable.
Yeah, Danny Boyd's got a good idea. Unhooked both ends of the cable to test the resistance, test the effort. Yeah.
My way is easier. You don't have to.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
Like anything.
Yep.
But that's good thinking. Dead Dog Garage, Jamie is in the house. What's happening, bro?
Hey, Jamie.
He heard that you were sick. He heard you had the Rona, and now he's circling.
He's circling. Hans Sozel, he's watching from the bathtub today. Oh, good Lord.
Dude, can you put your pants on, Hans Sozel?
Yeah. Glenn Nickerson, resistance is futile. Oh, very funny.
It's okay. I had a stiff clutch on the car to rip the pedal mount off up behind the dashboard. Yeah, some cars are prone to that. That was wasn't that a Ford thing, Kiwi? Where we ripped the mount off the firewall, the way the mount was welded to the firewall. I'm thinking like it was a Mustang or like a Fairlane type of thing.
Could have been.
I never remember it from the old days.
I wasn't really here in that era, so we didn't see that much of that sort of thing. But that could well have been. I know a lot of I've seen it before where the firewalls start cracking.
Yep, seen that too.
Fixing. But I couldn't tell you which models that was, to be honest.
Rocco's saying ivermectin. What was the other one? Florida. I can't even remember the name of it.
Dead Dodge Garage. Kiwi has Rona 6 feet. 6 feet. Yeah, you got to stay 6 feet away from me. Yep.
I think he's saying you may end up 6 feet.
Oh.
Oh.
Nah, not me.
No, Kiwi's indestructible, please.
Kiwis are too tough for Rona.
Way too tough. I'm surprised you let it in.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm surprised you allowed it access.
It snuck up on me. I thought I had the flu. I thought my wife had given me the flu because she actually had the flu. And I'm thinking I just got it off her, and then sure enough I got COVID and not bloody the flu. So, and she didn't get it. So, it's weird how that works.
Let's see.
Minnesota Tomcat. All right, the Tech Talk shit show jamboree with Kiwi's kinky contraptions. Love the wagon, Kiwi. Worth the trip. Cheers, mate. I think it was, yeah. It would actually. It would have been a good trip no matter what the car was because it was just fun. It was just fun.
So while we're at it here, anybody who isn't automatically sub to Kiwi, and if you're not, I don't know what's wrong with you. But if you have not yet subbed to Kiwis, go over there. One of our mods will put up a link to that. And there's also Dr. Art, the amazing Dr. Right, can only be right, amazing Dr. Art. So get over there and sub to his channel. You get Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage. Man, we got royalty in here tonight. We got freaking royalty.
Who's in tonight? Who's royalty?
Well, you.
Oh, I see.
Dr. Art, Jamie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it now. Yeah.
These are the greatest channels YouTube has never heard of. Kiwi's baby hippo giveaway. Kiwi, you're giving away a baby hippo that is so intense.
Apparently, yeah. They're on back order, so sorry, guys. They're on back order. Brian Porter, one for Kiwi. I'm redoing a 57 Belvedere and have to replace the trunk drip rail. Car has great patina. I don't want to ruin it. Welding the rail in. Will panel adhesive hold or should I just weld? I wish I knew just what it looked like. Panel adhesive is great. It does work well. It does need a very nice clean surface to bond to, like very clean. And it needs like probably a half-inch wide strip to actually have a decent amount of holding power. It won't glue thin little lips together. It'll just break. So as long as you've got a decent, if it's a little bit like the GM drip rails, trunk drip rails, if it's a bit like those, then those will glue on fine. You just have to be ready with all your clamps to clamp it in place because it doesn't fill big gaps. Everything's got to fit pretty well. And be very clean. And that would do it. That would save you patina. But I'm just not 100% sure what that lip drip rail looks like on the Belvedere.
We're just thinking
obviously my one doesn't have a trunk lip seal because it doesn't have a trunk.
You could just think of it as adding a new dimension to the current patina.
Well, there you go.
Expanding the patina.
Yeah.
KJ Kylie, what's happening, bro? Tony, what do you think about running green bearings on the street? Birdsong says don't. Depends on your driving style. So Chris Birdsong likes to do a lot of the handling type of stuff, right? And for him, no, green bearings are a definite no-no because they don't handle side loading very well. But if you drive like I do, which I drive like I drive like an old lady. I always have and always will, right? Green bearings fine, because I'm just not one of those people that likes to goose it around turns and stuff like that. But that's the problem with green bearings. If you anticipate the type of driving that you do, if you anticipate a lot of side loading to it, so say you're going to go autocrossing or you like to go back road, swooshing around and stuff like that, then absolutely no, do not use the green bearings. If it's just a regular driver, regular traffic, regular roads and stuff like that, you won't have any problem at all. They work really well.
So what's a green bearing for those of us that don't know?
The stock bearings, right, are a taper. Okay, the bearing it's a taper bearing.
Right.
It needs to be adjusted. Right. Yeah. The green bearings are not. They're a straight roller.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and they're sealed.
Yep.
Right. So they take less power to turn, which is why they're preferred on race cars.
Right.
All right. But that's the only difference. The functional difference is that the stock bearings are taper and the green bearings are straight.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Caitlin Arcadia is here. That's Jamie's sister. She came to see you, Kiwi.
What?
Let's see.
David Reed. David Reed says, Tony, I'm waiting for you to build a car jacked up with wheels hanging out that is a literal rocket car.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. Strato. I'm working on a 66 Belvedere with a 383 and a 727. Would you stick with the original 22-inch radiator or bump it up to the 26? Well, what size is the opening? Because those cars had two different core support openings. If you put the 26 in the one that's intended to be used on the 22 to 24 inch, then you're going to have a couple of inches of overhang and no airflow through them, which isn't the best situation, unless you actually open up the core support to match it. I would say that if it's a mild engine for standard use, the 22 should be fine. The 26 was like what they used for ultra duty applications like air conditioning. So like if it's a non-AC and it's a normal use type of situation, I think the 22 would be fine. Just make sure that it's sufficient as far as core number, core rows go. You know what I mean? That's important. You don't want to use a 2-row. 3 or 4.
I always just go straight for the biggest radiator, because you really can't have a radiator that's too big, but you can certainly have one that's too small.
Good point. That's a good point.
And I always try and put the biggest one I can in, because at some point, you're going to be doing the 4th of July parade with your air conditioning going, doing like 5 mile an hour. And then when it boils over, you'll be seriously upset because everyone will be pointing and looking.
I mean, no, you got a point there. Like on the cars that I use regularly, right, where performance isn't really the issue. It's just something to drive. I always go for the biggest radiator I can. My Charger is a 26, the 60, the 73 Roadrunner is a 26.
Right.
The Swinger's got the big one. On the real high performance cars that only go like to the track and stuff like that, and only take out the play, I use the smallest radiator possible. Like I have a slant 6 radiator in Bottle Rocket. But yeah, he's right. As generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, stick the biggest one you can in there. Let's see.
Mexican spec. Can't you have one that is too big that keeps the engine cool too long? Well, no, not really, because that's what your thermostat controls. Now, yeah, when I say use the biggest radiator, that is in conjunction with the thermostat. And there are people out there that still believe a thermostat is not necessary, and quite simply, they're wrong. A thermostat is absolutely necessary.
Well, if you're not going to use a thermostat, at least use a resistor.
Yeah, you got to control the flow. Yeah,
there has to be some kind of control, right? I know Jamie is saying what I said a few minutes ago. The X-ray of the 26 is blocked by the hole unless you cut up the opening. I don't see the point personally. Just get a good 22. So lots of different opinions on
that. Yeah, there's no point in putting a radiator that's bigger than the hole.
Right.
The opening, there is not. But so yeah, when I say that I go for a bigger one, I adjust the core accordingly, the core support, because you're absolutely right. There's no point in you could put a 36-inch wide one. If you got a 20-inch hole, there's only air going through the 20 inches.
Now Rocco here is bringing up a good point, because this is something I have come across. The newer brass radiator. They say brass. The newest brass. I'm talking about you, Kiwi. You Kiwi, your accent's rubbing off on me. The newest brass radiators suck. Very small tubes and don't cool. Can't get decent cores. He's right. The tubes are small. Have you seen some of the reproduction radiators that are out there now?
Well, I use US radiator, and I've had very good luck with them.
Okay, I can't call it any specific brand, but I can tell you that I have seen with my own eyes reproduction. Chrysler. I don't know how they are for all makes, but the reproduction Chrysler ones, and the tubes are they're like 3/4 the size of the original ones.
No, right, okay.
In which case, you would need as much width as you could possibly get.
Well, yeah.
Interesting. End of time is interesting because he's saying, Tony, your Mustang track day, said you remove the rear sway bar on the 8.8 or keep it on. The single biggest performance improvement I made with that car was taking the rear sway bar. When I pulled both sway bars off. Once I pulled the sway bars off that car, it launched. It launched. There's actually a picture that was published in Cars Illustrated magazine. I can't tell you which issue it is, but it's me leaving the line at Englishtown. Okay, and this is like, I think it was the day that I pulled the sway bars out of that car. And there's a shot of me launching that car at Englishtown, and you could actually see daylight under the left front wheel. And that was on gator backs. That wasn't on the back then. We were using McCreary street slicks. They were like a dirt track tire. That was like the hot setup back then. That was before all of the modern tires came into existence. But yeah, pulling the sway bars off of that car was the single biggest performance improvement I made with that thing. It dropped me from like the 1370s to the 210s, just like that. Poof. So yeah, big difference. Big difference.
So Mitten Made Muscle says a buddy of his soldered his thermostat closed and drilled a bunch of holes around the outside. I thought he was nuts, but it never overheated.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's used a thermostat and turned it into a restrictor.
Yeah.
He could have just put a regulation thermostat on it. A thermostat, as long as it doesn't jam shut, is not going to cause overheating. But
a lot of people, one of the reasons they go to the restrictor as opposed to the thermostat is because the restrictor never poses any restriction to the water pump.
Right.
So in other words, let's just say you're at the track and you're staging the car. And when you're staging the car, this stat has closed itself up, because it's regulating the temperature. So if it arrives at the temperature that it doesn't want flow anymore, it closes itself up. Now when you hit the gas, the water that would normally just be able to free flow through the system with the stat is stored in the water pump. Right, and you're creating a little water break, and that's worth a couple of hundred horsepower. That's worth a couple of horsepower. So that would be if you're going to go for a restrictor rather than a thermostat, that would be the reason to do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pete is saying just run a big washer in the stock car just to slow it. Yeah, that a lot of people do that. They make washers in all different sizes, and you could just use a washer instead of. But you have to experiment. You have to experiment because a different opening is going to give you different cooling. You know what I mean? So you may find you put a restrictor in there, and now you're running. Normally you want to see the temperature at like 190, 200. Now all of a sudden it's 220. Well, you need a bigger opening. So you have to just slowly increasing the size of the opening until you reach that operating temperature that you're looking for. But that said, you'll never get the accurate temperature regulation you would with a thermostat with a restrictor. Okay.
What was it? Tony Yetta, can you import Aussie and Mexican Dodges into the US and Canada? I know you can definitely import them in Aussie cars into the US. I'm pretty sure Mexican spec can chime in, but I mean, he sells quite a few cars into the US. So, I don't believe there's a problem from either of those locations. You could have some compliancing, like paperwork stuff to do coming in from Aussie, but it's just pretty straightforward. There's a number of Australian cars kind of driving around in the US. I mean, not thousands, but I'd say there's probably a few, hundreds driving around. I've seen Holden Tiranas and Valiant Chargers and stuff like that here in the States. So, and Holden Utes and stuff like that. So there's a few here. It's been done.
Well, a lot of it depends on what state you're in. So Mexican spec is saying yes if they were over 25 years old, but not into California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. California doesn't like doing anything, do they?
You see, there are other states that follow California's rules very carefully, closely, I should say. Like I think Massachusetts is one of them.
Oh, okay.
So you really got to think about what state you're in. Like here in Tennessee, I wouldn't think twice about it. Just send it up. You can, if it's got anything that even resembles a title, they'll give you a tag for it. So,
yeah.
But that's Tennessee, which is one of the reasons I live here. But yeah, you do your research before you start importing anything.
Rusty Fuel, Kiwi, can you post the Radiator Company website? Yeah, I can. I've had a few people ask me about that since that Falcon video I put up, so I need to make a comment and pin it on there. So I'll do that tonight. I'll put up the website, but it is basically just US or U.S. radiators, US radiator. If you Google them, you will find it for sure. Just US radiator.
Yeah, they're a big company.
You often got to wait for their radiators. They build them to order. They don't have a lot on the shelf. They don't have much at all on the shelf, actually. But yeah, so it can take 3-4 weeks to get a radiator, which is a little bit of a drag at times. But yeah, it's when you get it, it's a good product.
Kiwi, what are your thoughts on this? I really don't have any. Joe K, what do you think of the GMC V6 with the spark plugs placed on the intake side of the head? Better idea that should have been more widely adopted? The Ford, the camera has them up on the intake side of the head. What other engine has them up there?
Not sure on that one. I don't really have a lot of intelligent input on that one.
Yeah, I really couldn't give you much either. I mean, listen. If it had any real advantages, you've got engineers that have been doing this stuff since the ooze. You know what I mean? Like way back. And if they commonly didn't see any benefit to putting the spark plugs in that section of the head, then it probably, if there is any benefit, it's going to be a very specific benefit. Because you'll find the engineers will, like some applications, they'll use an angle plug head or an angle to the spark plug. Some will move straight in. If there is an advantage to it, it's going to be a niche advantage that for a specific application, like a specific RPM, a specific type of fuel, perhaps, I don't know, that would be an advantage. But if it was an across the board advantage, they all would have done it decades and decades and decades ago.
They're pretty sharp, the engineers. There's also certain compromises that just have to be made. Because sometimes where you might want to put a spark plug, there's something else in the way. But yeah, the other thing too, with anything to do with cylinder heads and spark plugs and port shapes and things happening so fast inside that cylinder head. The speed of the flame front going across a combustion chamber, the velocity and turbulence created by like supersonic speed at times through the inlet ports. There's a lot going on that is beyond my brain power, and I just kind of go, yeah, okay, sounds good. How much horsepower does it make? I'll take that one.
I guess this is going back to the thing about the restrictor versus the thermostat. The water pump is always pumping water through the block. Yes, the thermostat just bypasses the radiator, but the radiator is like an escape passage. So like the radiator is where the air gap is going to be. So the radiator is where if there's pressure in the system, the pressure is going to want to go to the radiator. When you leave the pressure, you're taking pressure off the pump, off the water pump. Let's see.
Paul Pahui said, Tony, what gives the Mopar starter motors that distinctive sound when cranking?
The gear reduction. The Chrysler starters, with very few exceptions, Chrysler starters from that era, with very few exceptions, which would be like, and this is from 1962 on. So like the early Slant 6s had a direct drive starter. 426 Hemis from 66 to 69 had a direct drive starter. Taxi and police applications had a direct drive starter. and they sound like regular. Actually, they sound kind of like Ford starters, but because they are, in essence, they are Ford starters. But the normal Chrysler starter was a gear reduction unit, so it's that's where that sound comes from.
Right. Glenn Nickerson, what's a ute? What do you do? You know what a ute is, Glenn Nickerson?
Jeff Jack, this is a good question. You can probably answer it better than I can. With Stanton now made by Motorrad, who makes a good option for thermostats these days? I haven't come across any like defective or bad ones really out of the box. So I don't know if searching for high quality thermostats is a worthwhile idea.
Yeah, not really had a problem with them. I just.
But that's not to say it doesn't happen. It just means that I haven't come across it, and Kiwi hasn't come across it yet.
I haven't had a problem with thermostat. No.
Oh, I've had thermostats bad. You know, I mean that's everybody has. But when you say when you think of like a relatively new thermostat that hasn't been affected by rust or gunk or things trapped in it failing, right? No, I haven't. I just haven't have not had that problem. Okay, what's this with the pants? Everybody's making pants comments here?
I didn't see that. Oh, I'm a bit behind on my comments. Okay, I'll catch up now.
Okay. Let's see.
No pants, no photos. Okay.
He says you've been using the Gates thermostat for a long time, never an issue.
Okay, there you go.
I got to be honest. It's one thing I never really paid attention to. It's just like, I go to Rock Auto and just check off, or auto parts store, just whatever they give me, It's something I never really paid attention to. Probably because it hasn't bit me yet. And of course, once it bites me, I'll become paranoid. And it's like,
Yeah. What do we got going on here? Glenn Nickerson, Kiwi. I was quoting my cousin Vinny in an automotive slant. The 2U. Okay, I get you.
Mark Suave is saying the only thing I would look for in a thermostat is that it has a bypass. Well, now I automatically, just about always, will drill a hole. Right? If the stat doesn't have one, and I, that used to be a common thing. Stats almost always had a bypass back in the day. But if there's no bypass, I'll automatically just take just drill a tiny hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I remember they used to come. Some of them would come with like a little brass fitting in the hole.
That was a bypass.
Yeah,
that was a bypass.
Yeah,
and I don't think they include that anymore.
I haven't seen one like that for a long time. But it's just another step in the manufacturing, which they've taken out just to save 3.5 cents.
Yeah, Raymond Campbell is saying the same thing. One trick was to drill in 1/8 hole in one side of the thermostat. Yeah, that's.
Steve Maturek, if one thermostat is good, would 3 be better? No.
Can you have enough?
Because one does the job, 3 is just going to give you 3 times the chance of having a problem. Danny Boyd, clock the hole to the top of the thermostat passage. Yeah, that's definitely, to help bleed the air out of the system it's helpful for that.
Paul Pachuli, what drill size, Tony? I would be lying if I even pretended that I could tell you what size I would use, because I will literally just find the smallest drill bit that's laying around, just chuck it up and pop a little hole in there. 1/8 or smaller is
5/64.
5/64.
Yeah.
All you want to do is just allow the air to, you don't want, the whole point of that is so that the water pump doesn't become airbound. It's just giving the air a place to escape. So it doesn't have to be huge.
So yeah, the hole size is small.
Archer's Garage is saying, yes, I drilled a few 1/8 holes on my Pontiac 400 at a bulkheads and manifold, and it solved my high temp issues. It was way over 190 degrees.
Huh.
Standing Foot is saying a cat hair drill bit. You spelled that wrong, Standing Foot, but we get the idea. It's like drilling the throttle blades to get an engine to idle. Hey, it works. It works. I've drilled many a throttle blade in my day. What sucks is when you drill them too big and you got to go weld them closed again.
No.
Have you ever done that?
Huey? I've never done that. Tell me about that.
What do you mean?
Like, why drill a hole in the blade rather than just cranking that?
If you got something with a cam that's like a low vacuum cam, okay?
Right.
In order to get the thing to idle, you got to open the throttle blades to where you're up into the transfer slot, and now it idles flat. So to keep the idle mixture accurate, so you can actually adjust it through the screws, you drill a couple of small holes in the blades
just to let it breathe a little more.
Let it breathe, and it's not pulling fuel through the transfer slot. But that's one of the things you gotta guess at how much of an opening you need. And if you go too big, now you have no way to lower the idle. So then you gotta weld the hole closed and then drill a smaller one next to it.
So what sort of size holes were you putting in the blades?
It just depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, but average, like a 16th of an inch,
an 1/8 and a quarter.
1/8 and a quarter. Oh wow, well, that's reasonable size. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, the good old calculated vacuum leak.
Zero has Jaguar parts in his motor.
In the trunk?
On his dart.
Yeah.
Jag parts on his dart. He used a Jag fan clutch.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Snazzy, Zero.
Snazzy.
That's interesting. Hey, that's actually, because A-body guys go nuts trying to find it. You got a slant in there. And there's almost no way to put a clutch fan on a slant. But even with the V8s, the A-body guys go nuts trying to find the original A-body fan clutch unit because it's so tight. That's actually a good one, man. That's a good one. Huh. Okay. So I got to store that.
Yeah, well, because the Jags have a fairly long engine. Their 6 cylinders, quite a big engine, so they would have run out of length as well. So they would have been, made one short.
If you need the partner, no, don't worry about it right now. When you get a chance, text it to me. Unless somebody in here wants it. If anybody wants that number, request it, and Zero go get it for you right now. Let's see.
Wrenching with Grandpa. Picked up a Holly Street Dominator 4-barrel and short throw headers for $318 for $200. That's a good buy.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Can't buy headers. Well, you can buy headers for a poly, $318 poly, but golly, they're expensive.
Or TTI, right? And is the only one that makes them, right?
Yeah, I only found, I can't remember who it was, but that's probably them. But yeah, there was only one set that I could find, and they were best. But by the time you paid shipping and tax and stuff, you were $1,000, no problem. But there's another guy who's been doing them using Ford headers, like small block Ford headers.
You were saying
flanges off and welding them on because they're the same port spacing.
And it fits through the torsion bars and all of that?
Well, he had to change some of the primaries and stuff, but it was either that or get like completely scratch and make the headers.
Okay, so Big Red Channel 20 is saying that the Jag fan clutch is a well-known hack for small block Mopar. It's new to me. I've never heard of it before. So
I wonder if you can buy Zero? Can you buy the fan clutches new, or do you got to find one off a wreck. Wonder if they're available new here.
Nathan Maldonado, if you're rebuilding a 318 Magnum back to stock specs, can you upgrade to a double roller timing chain for more reliability, or is it a waste of money? Generally speaking, it's a waste of money. I avoid double roller timing chains unless you've got excessive valve train weight. So in other words, like if you're dealing with like a high lift, heavy spring, mechanical rocker sort of situation where the valve train is taking a lot of power to spin, then double roller, absolutely, right? But if it's a normal street type of situation, so mild to moderate cam, mild to moderate springs, mild to moderate everything, then go with the single, because the single actually takes less power to turn than the dual. That was a Bill Jenkins thing. Bill Jenkins on his pro stock motors back in the day, before they started going to gear drives and all that stuff. Actually, wait, they had done a gear drive. Like at this time, very early 1970s, he was working with a small block Chevy, and they were trying different things on the front of the engine. So they had a single row timing chain, a double row timing chain, and the gear drive. And the gear drive took more horsepower to turn than anything else. The double row was second, and the single row timing chain took less power to turn than anything else. And so he was building his pro stock engines for a while there using single row timing chains. Let's see. Alan Childreth likes his timing gears. I like them too, bro. You have awesome timing gears, and don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Let's see. Michael Gonzalez, do you recommend break-in oil or break-in additive for a freshly bulky modern engine?
Freshly built, maybe.
Well, okay. So for a modern engine that uses like low tension ring packs and all of that, no, it's really not necessary. Just send it with whatever oil is going to go in there. If it's an older type of engine with cast rings, then yeah, additives are a very good idea. If it's a roller engine, they don't require, like if you're looking at it from a valve train perspective, they don't require anything, just oil. Where it's a flat top, you need something that's zinc rich. So if it's you're saying it's a modern engine, so it's going to have a low tension ring package and it's going to have rollers, roller lifter, send it. Just put your regular oil in it. Change it out the same way you would after the break-in period. So after about 500 miles or so, change it out, because there's always stuff in the engine. So you want to change out the oil in the filter after about 500 miles, but you don't need anything special. Let's see. What's so funny, Kiwi?
Territory. Hello, world. Is this the Schumacher battery charger customer service chat hotline? My charger is down.
I hate these freaking things. Somebody said go buy one at an estate sale. and yeah, because every time I've ever gone to one of those things, you always hear battery chargers sitting on the shelf. So that's my next thing.
What was wrong with your battery charger today? I actually missed that part of the video.
Well, last night I wanted to take the so I put the white Jeep back together again. I wanted to take it home last night, and I go to start it, and the battery's dead because I had left the passenger side door open overnight, and it killed the battery. So I threw the battery charger on it, and nothing. I let it sit overnight with the battery charger on it. Come in this morning, figuring, oh, okay, well, I'll just get in it, drive away. Nope. Turn the key, stone cold dead. The battery charger was hooked up. It was humming. It was doing everything it was supposed to, but it wasn't sending anything to the battery. So I popped the top of it apart, and I started like probing around in it to see what's going on. And I was like, no, let me just make a video. I got to do something else. So that's what happened with that. That was completely unplanned and spontaneous. Jamie is saying Tony has had a couple of topic failures and did videos on that. I had my first one last year. Sure, rub it in, man. Sure, yeah. I've had a couple of them. I did videos on each of them. I've had friends that have had that problem, and I did videos on theirs. And actually, I think Jamie's video was how we started talking to each other. It was I think I went to troll him in the comments and tell him what kind of fool he was for wiping out a cam, how he doesn't know what he's doing, and then we became friends. And Fubar has just put up a link to our merch. Thank you, Fubar. We have our. We still have our internal combustion T-shirt. We have these all in stock now. So if you guys want these things, well, now you gotta buy them because like those sales slowed way down, and I have boxes of these. So I've got to get rid of them or give them away to charity, I guess. So we have those and stuff. And Kiwi, what merch do you have to sell?
None. I'm too damn busy.
Jeez, blame it on the Rona.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help, I have to say. Yeah, I'll get to it one day. Mopar Maniac, when does the 392 Hemi build begin?
As soon as he figures out what he wants to put it in.
Well, that's true.
I don't think it's going to go into large March.
No, I don't think it is. I think we're going to stick with the poly. So if I do this poly engine and like maybe take it out to 390, is that going to need an aluminum 727 or will that old cast iron transmission live?
The cast iron one should work fine. The only thing, you're not going to really get a converter for it. You'd have to have one custom made, which would be a lot of money. But you don't need. It's not that kind of car.
No,
it's not that kind of car. Yeah, no, you'd be fine.
Just fine. Leave the cast iron one in there.
Leave everything alone. Yeah, I freshen it up. Pick up a rebuild kit for it, and we'll freshen it up. It's got to be an easy transmission to go through. Glenn Nicholson, why didn't you use your arc welder? Because it's one of the things I kind of gave away when I was ready to move because I was trying to get rid of stuff. I don't want clutter, and I have not used that welder since we made that. Well, maybe I used it once or twice since we made that video. So it was like that was one of those things. Just get it out of here. Somebody came to buy a couple of parts. What would happen was I would list like an intake manifold for sale on Marketplace. And when they came to buy the intake manifold, I'd load them up with other stuff just to get it out of my shop. They're like, "Hey, this guy's great. He's so generous." I'm like, no, you're my cleanup crew. Get the shit out of here. So that welder was one of the things that went.
All right. Okay.
Let's see.
That'd be nice. Thank you. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Why don't you let her get on here and answer a few questions?
She knows where the gas goes. What's going on here? Somebody, I can't see where it went now. One of the guys commented that Tony, the battery chargers only work in the on position.
Oh, I should have read the instructions. Let's see. Roger, Tony, do you know Cliff Gromer? Unfortunately, yes. Like too well. I know him too well. Cliff and I spent several years together on a daily basis.
Yeah. Urkos was saying, Kiwi borrowed a big-time charger to get large Marge going. Yeah, we did. The guy there at his place where we were working on it had one of those big old-school ones, they're about 2 feet. Yeah, good, 26, 30 inches tall, those big ones they used to have 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That were nothing automatic. Closest to automatic was that you cranked a button on and you could leave it on for like 60 minutes or whatever. You could crank 30 amps into it.
If I had a commercial shop, I'd have all stuff like that, but I don't. You know what I mean? I only work on my own cars, and I don't really, I just don't need that much. I did go out and buy a jump pack though, because I was like, it's time I joined the 21st century. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I bought a jump pack at Harbor Freight yesterday. It was like $65. So I grabbed one of those.
Yeah, they're good. I got one to take over to pick up large marge. I got one off Amazon. It was really good.
Well, actually, honestly, Kiwi, I went there looking for another battery charger, right? And I said, well, you know what? I should have a jump pack, because if I ever try to do something like what Kiwi did, I want to be able to have an on the road source.
Hmm.
And I could, the alternator or whatever, the charging system takes a dump. I can run the engine off the jump pack for however long I have to get home. So that's literally why I bought that. Where I decided to finally break down and get one.
There you go. Fixing on a garage. Heard that Kiwi's going to start signing UTG stickers to double their value.
Yeah, you could. Let's see.
We need to figure out how to double, the value of something that's already a couple of $100. That's when you get serious. Steve Machurik, will a 392 fit in a 71 Duster? I'm sure it will. Hemi in a 71 Duster? That'd work.
What are you drinking tonight, Kiwi?
Bourbon. The standard bourbon. Always bourbon.
I'm surprised you didn't do like martinis.
Nah. Nah.
Shaken.
Not stirred.
Right. You don't want to bruise your vermouth, man.
No.
Don't bruise my vermouth.
392 can go. Oh, who said that? Yeah, Stray Bullet. Yeah, I do need some merchandise, but I get to work and then it's just on, and then like come to 5:30, it's like shit. It's time to go home already. And I was going to ring a t-shirt place today, and today just vanished. Like it disappeared over my shoulder and gone.
I got my guy. I get you hooked up. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Get you hooked up.
All right.
Yeah, you just use my account. You'll save all kinds of money.
Rusty Fuel.
Yeah.
I harbor hate for Harbor Freight.
Yeah, it's there, and it's. I know I'm as buy American as you're gonna get, right? Except that the stuff that you need when you need it isn't there. Harbor Freight is always there. So when you need something in a pinch, it's there, it's available, it's cheap. You know what I mean? It's disposable, it's throwaway stuff. I know. When I buy something in Harbor Freight, I know it's disposable. Going in, I know it's disposable. But I need it then and there. All right, so that's the benefit of it. And for that,
they have some real junk there. They do. And
but how many times
they do seem to sell it, but they have some stuff that's okay as well,
But how many times have you bought a tool knowing that after you're done doing this job with it, you'll never use it again?
Yeah.
Right?
You don't want to spend a lot of money.
That's where Harbor Freight is aces.
Mm. But I've bought a few air tools off of them over the years, and one thing I've noticed with the air tools is they use a huge amount of air. So it's just little subtle differences like that in some of their equipment. Like you get a little air grinder, like a little 90-degree air grinder, and it's amazing how much air they use compared to like a more name brand one. And some of the electrical stuff's not very good.
Danny Boy's got, that's true, bro. The worst is when you need it again and forget you already had it. I literally just did that. So I do an AC compressor in the Jeep, right? So I was going to charge it, and I was like, "Oh, I better grab a charge hose for this thing." I don't have a new my clocks. I might as well just throw them out. They're like 40 years old, right? So I don't have any. So anyway, I said, "Oh, I better grab a charge hose for this thing." And I get back to the shop and I open the drawer looking for something else, and there's 2 charge hoses sitting there. So.
Jeff Jack, Kiwi did a headline in my 70 Coronet last week, and your video on headline has saved me from using cheap spray glue. Glad I watched it first. Well, I mean, I'm glad it helped. That's it's a big piece of the reason why we do these videos, is just try and help some of the guys out, And I only knew that cheap spray glue doesn't work because I've tried it and it didn't work. So just trying to save someone else having the same drama. Yeah.
Rusty Fuel is saying Harbor Freight is the street prostitute of tools.
Yep. That's a fair description.
Rocco, will we be seeing some work on the test mule soon? That's the next, quite literally the next vehicle. I would have had it in the shop today. Only I'm debating right now whether to start working on it outside, because there's still a lot of grinding and stuff I want to do, and I don't want to do that in the shop. So I'm seriously thinking about just getting the car up off the ground outside, doing whatever I've got to do out there, paint under the hood and all of that, and then bring it in to fit the motor into it. But that's literally, if I didn't get sidetracked with other stuff, I would have been doing that today.
Jay Hain, enjoyed our road trip and Kiwi's big adventure. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Kicking the tires. Did Holly kill the Hillborn brand? Yes, they did it this week. They killed the Hillborn brand. But in my opinion, they killed the Hillborn brand 3 years ago, whenever it was that they bought it, 2 years ago, whenever it was that they bought it. Because I was talking to an unnamed person at Holly, and we would talk back and forth every once in a while, right? And I was talking to unnamed person at Holly, and he told me, we bought Hillborn. And I was like, oh, yes, right? I was like, that's awesome, because now they're 100 miles up the road. So I was like, bro, anything you think we can do together with the Hillborn stuff, I'm all about it, right? So he says, well, we've got engineers working on it right now. And I was like, you had Gene Adams and Don Enriquez working on it. You get the greatest minds, and well, that's different. We're going EFI with all of this stuff. And I was like, you commie alien slime, okay? And literally, I have not spoken a word to anybody at Holly since then. And so, in my opinion, they bought it and killed it way back when.
Fixed it on at garage. Oh, you got it. Okay, cool. It's awesome that it helped. The weldwood glue for the headlining on a vinyl top. Yep, that's what you got to use. Ooh, I'm glad people are watching and taking note. That's cool.
Steve Machurk, would it be against the grain if I made a front-wheel drive Hemi-powered car? Dude, I don't care if you dress. I don't care if you identify as a cannoli and make it like upside down front-wheel drive car. It's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool. Build it.
Front drive Hemi-powered car. Well, they have four-wheel drive Hemi-powered cars, twin Hemis, haven't they?
What was that, bro?
They've had four-wheel drive Hemi-powered twin-engine cars, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they've had every combination of stuff you could think of.
Yeah. What transmission did they use in the front on that Hemi, twin Hemi cars?
Which one?
Well, like Hemi under glass, say.
That was a single engine.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah, there was another Hemi one, though, that had the two Hemis in it. Was that the old? What was that? There was another one that had two Hemis in it.
Okay, that was actually my dead friend Jim Barillero.
Okay.
He had a Ford. It was a Ford. And it was called, this is before my time. It was called, oh God, it was a wheelie truck, and it had two Fords in it. Had two side-by-side Fords. It was called, somebody in there, somebody will Google this. Jim Barillero twin engine Ford wheel stander. And he used V drives. Marine V drives, but I don't really know that much.
But that was driving the rear wheels?
It was driving the rear wheels, yeah.
But somebody made, there was a Hearst, was it a Hearst Oldsmobile that had two?
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about
drive?
Okay, there were two cars, Kiwi. There were two cars. Both of them, one cooler than the next. All right.
Right.
So there was the Hearst Hemi on the Hearst Olds, okay, the Hearst Harry Olds, and then there was the terrifying Toronado. All right, the two coolest, the Hearst Harry Olds and the terrifying Toronado. So they were both Toronado based cars.
And so they were front drive anyway.
They had a 425 on the front, running through the stock transaxle.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the second setup in the back. So you had two blown nitro Oldsmobile motors feeding through the stock transaxles. So the Hearst car ran for a long time, but limited. And the terrifying Toronado only ran like 3 times. And there's this famous picture of it climbing over the guardrail at Irwindale.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but that didn't end well.
So there was, these things made so much torque, okay, because they had slicks front and back, and they made so much torque that it did crazy things to the alignment. So there's this one shot of, like, I think it's the terrifying Toronado coming off the starting line, and it's smoking all 4 tires, and the toe in is like this. All of the torque, all of the distortion to the front suspension. So I guess any type of correction at that point, and you're all over the map. But there's a shot of it going over the guardrail at Irwindale, and if I'm not mistaken, in that picture, it's right in front of the concession stand. And the concession stand at Irwindale in that era, 1967, was In-N-Out Burger. That was the first In-N-Out Burger, was the concession stand at Irwindale. As from there, they opened up a store outside the track, and then a couple, and then it became a chain, and now it's In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, I saw a video clip the other day, and it was one of those R34 Nissans, the Godzillas, the 4-wheel drive ones.
The which?
And the 4-wheel drive Nissan Skyline, the R34.
Yeah.
And that was it was doing a drag race, and it launched, and it got to probably 60, 80 foot, and smoke just started pouring off all 4 wheels. Like, it didn't smoke them on the launch, but actually got, like, it was up and running. It was trucking, and then it just, so much power, it just started smoking all 4 wheels. Like,
well, those things probably have a traction control in them, and at a certain point, it just overwhelms them. Overwhelms the traction control.
But doing, serious smoke off all 4 wheels, it actually takes a little bit of doing. That's a bit of horsepower. You're happy to catch up here?
Let's see. Jeff Hutchins is saying, this is going back a ways, the LS platform didn't have transverse engines? You sure about that? There were no transverse LS motors?
Wasn't the Monte Carlo a transverse LS, or was that an LT1?
No, it wouldn't be an LT1 transverse.
Well, they made that front-wheel drive Monte Carlo that had the Chevy V8.
Yeah.
The Monte Carlo SS. I thought that was an LS.
The original Monte Carlo SS was rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, and then they made a front-wheel drive one. The later shape went to front-wheel drive.
That was a V6.
They made a V8 one. I've seen them.
Somebody would know this better than I would.
I can't tell you the year of them, but
well, here, let's see what we got here. No, they didn't have a transfer. Oh, it was for Monte Carlo Grand Prix. Okay. Yes, there was an Impala with a transverse LS. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. There you go, 426 Hemi. Impala SS had an LS. Okay, here's one for you, Kiwi. What is the value of March? How much would you sell it for? Ask Kiwi. Well, you could ask Kiwi, Jay. She's right here.
Yeah, that's tough. It have to be 10 grand.
You would take 10 grand for that car?
I'd seriously consider it. Yeah.
What would you replace it with, though?
Yeah, well, that's why I'd have to consider it, not snap the guy's hand off. I mean, it probably owes me, not including the road trip, because I don't think you can really, because that was for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cost, time in motels and gas and all that. That was quite a bit. But yeah, with just the parts that I've purchased for it and put on it and that kind of thing, it probably owes me $7.
Okay.
So, and when you factor in the work done, that's just parts. That's just hard parts. That's not time. And time is money. But yeah.
I wouldn't sell that car, though. You don't need the money. There's no reason to sell that car. If I had your money, I would burn mine. I'd be like, this is useless. So yeah, you don't need it. Keep that car.
He'll let her go for a case of really nice bourbon. Well, no.
They're still talking about LSs. And Jamie is saying, haha, we misunderstood Jeff's question. No LS platform Chrysler with a V8. Okay. Man, yeah, that really went off. Okay.
LS platform Chrysler. You've lost me completely there.
Where is Steve? Did he get sick of lives on the road?
No, I don't think he did. Steve was like a machine, like a robot, like driving. He just kind of just eyes on the road, and
what I saw of him during when we catch your lives, what I saw of him was like, man, he was on a mission. You know what I mean? He was mission specific. Get it done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, but he's actually quite good on camera. He talks well. He's a good dude.
He is. He could probably do a better YouTube channel than you, bro.
Yeah. Chrysler LHS Intrepid.
Yeah, the LS Chrysler platform was front wheel drive, but the motors weren't transverse. Okay, see, I completely remember. It's 2024, right? So when it's a mobile reference, unless it's something that's very specific, you know what I mean? LS is going to be like, oh, LS, a Chevy, but the LS platform, the LS Chryslers are extinct. Like, I don't think there's a single Intrepid left out there.
Kicking Tires is asking, Kiwi, any updates on the Mustang? You have to be a bit more specific. Which Mustang? We've got there's 1, 2. I've got 3 in the shop at the moment, and a Mustang roofed Cougar. So, which Mustang? As soon as I see that, I will answer the question. Z0 Kiwi's Bourbon Adventure.
Mark Suave drives an Intrepid daily. Go you.
Yeah, Mark's saying, the problem, Kiwi, is where would you find another 59 Suburban? There's if you actually go Googling them, there's a few around. And I do mean a few, but they're out there.
Okay. Standing for you are wrong. The Intrepid wasn't junk. They were actually good cars that had some oddball issues. The biggest problem with those things was the rack. Okay. The rack and the tie rod ends. And to change the rack on that was a freaking nightmare. But aside from that, man, the engines ran good. The transmissions were good. The bodies, they were solid cars. I mean, they weren't bad. They really weren't bad.
So they were a V6 front drive, but not transverse.
Yeah.
Huh, that's an unusual setup. Because front drive just lends itself to being transverse. It's kind of the obvious answer.
Well, Chrysler originally planned that car to be built both ways. So because remember, this was during that transition period before the modern era had fully set in, and Chryslers were used for fleet. There was a lot of Chryslers being used for fleet use. So in case police departments, any application like that wanted that body in a conventional rear-wheel drive, it could be built that way.
Huh.
So that's why they did it. That's why they did it transverse. They could do front-wheel drive, which was the basic thing. They could do rear-wheel drive, which would fit for police and whatnot duty, and they could do four-wheel drive if they ever wanted to go that way.
Right.
So that was the reason for building a front-wheel drive with the engine front to back.
Chris Freemesser, I bet if Steve had a YouTube channel, he'd have T-shirts we could buy. Ooh.
He would. Steve would have great T-shirts, and we would all be quite jealous of Steve's merch.
I'm trying to build up the anticipation, you see, so when it eventually happens, it'll be huge. Anybody buying that?
What was that?
I said I'm trying to build up the anticipation for the merchandise, and when it eventually gets here, it'll be huge.
Dude, as soon as your merch comes in,
is anybody buying that? Or
as soon as your merch comes in, I'm throwing away all my clothes. Okay, I'm going to show up at your place wrapped in a towel. So I'll be waiting there. I'm going to need everything.
We will have the
pants, right? Everything.
Well, we'll be sure and print up a Kiwi Classics thong for you. No comment? Oh, you have to have a cigarette on the strength of that.
What was that, bro?
I said I'll be sure and have a Kiwi Classics thong ready for you when you get here in your towel.
Yeah. You know, you want to be sexy, bro. Want to be sexy.
Mexican Speak saw a 59 wagon for sale down there in Mexico, but had the flathead 6. A lot of them were flathead 6s.
Beagle Bob wants to know if he could pre-order.
Pre-order? No, I can't do that. I can't do that because I don't know when it's going to be. So,
if you're ready, bro, I can have merch. I can have merch in your hands within a week.
Really?
Yeah, my guy's a quick turnaround.
Okay. All right. It's got to. Yeah, I got to do it. Got to get out of my own way and do it. Yeah, I know you guys want it, and it'll sell and it'll make me money. So I'm like, why not do it? But it's just like I said, I hit the floor running at 8 and finish at 5:30, and it's like I'm done. Change the name to Stevie's Customs and Cross Country Classics. There you go. Steve's getting a following.
426 Henry. UT, hear anything from your old Mopar action pals? I guess we subscribers are screwed. I have not talked to any of them. First of all, I have no pals over at Mopar Action. And well, the first couple of issues that we did was with Neil Van Opry and Jim Cosks, both awesome friends of mine. I don't really talk to them very much because I'm focused on my current life, but those are great guys. Now, once we left and the Gromer / Ehrenberg era began, well, no, bro, there's zero friendship there. You know what I mean? Zero friendship. So, I don't know, man. I guess you say if you sub to it, you're screwed. Glenn Nickerson. No. Uncle Kathy has been retired now from mass T-shirt. She's got way too many things going on, and we have more things being piled on top. So we started using an outside source for our T-shirts. She's still hand printing a few of them that are like so low volume that we can't put in a big order for them. But no, that's
collector editions.
Yeah, now they're all collector editions, and they'll all have dog hair on them. So you can't miss them. You'll know
the dog hair comes
printed.
Mexican speak. Does anybody want personalized Mexican plates? That is going to be my merch. Huh. That's not a bad idea.
I would take a motorcycle plate, man. That would be cool. Glenn Nickerson saying that it's good there were wife labor laws. She might be watching us. She might be watching us. Go easy. Jay Weiss, Kiwi and Tony cooking show. I bet Tony can cook a great steak. I can. And Kiwi could add kiwi fruit to it. I would be so wrong. But I'm sure Kiwi could cook too.
If you put kiwi fruit in your if you marinate your steaks and you put kiwi fruit in with the marinade, that's good.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about this? How about I'll pick up a tenderloin. Remember we had that the last time we had that party at the shop.
Yeah,
you cooked up that tenderloin. I'll pick up another beef tenderloin and we'll try that. Dr. Art is cooked. Dr. Art's actually really a cook.
He makes good cookies.
Yeah, cookies. He makes these pastries and shit that are just off the chain. Really good stuff. So yeah, we got to get together and do food sometime again soon. Kiwi is the bartender. Yes, Kiwi can pour bourbon for everybody.
Oh, yeah. I'm good at pouring bourbon. Kiwi merch with the kiwi bird on it. That's the plan. I want to do some large Marge t-shirts. I want to do some kiwi keep the kiwi shirts, a few things like that. So,
Old Blue 426. Thank you for the super chat, my friend.
Yeah.
I have a first generation 225/6. I was wondering if you had a late 70s, early 80s slant 6 that you would be well. I do not, my friend. I've got the motor from Slaghammer, and not Slaghammer. I have the motor from Plan Z, which we'll be working with again before the end of this year, before we go too much further. I had to get this move out of the way before I did anything else. But honestly, I got rid of so much stuff in the name of moving. So I mean, I got rid of. God, I can't even tell you how much slant 6 stuff I got rid of. I kept some crucial spares, right? But that's it. And I have nothing else I want to get rid of or can get rid of. I just don't have anything.
What year did they make this? Did they stop making the slant 6?
1987 was the last year.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a long run, wasn't it?
1960 to 87. Yeah, 27 years.
That's a long run. You must have done something right.
They were good motors. They were just underpowered. Just very underpowered. Very hard to work with. They weren't designed for the things that we try to make them do.
Right. They were torquey though, weren't they?
In relation to, you see what I'm saying? Like they were torquey in relation to, small displacement flathead 6s. I mean, they were, everything is relative. Everything is relative.
True.
Jay Rice, great to see Huey enjoying American car culture. Tony is a perfect friend to have. Well, the thing is, the problem is I'm old and therefore weaker than I was, and Kiwi is very large. So I can't just toss him under the bus like I do with everybody else. See what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, Tony was probably one of my first kind of gearhead connections, really, over here in the States. Waylon Puga, Kiwi's classic Cox and Customs t-shirt.
I should not have highlighted that. I didn't read it right. Okay, Tony, would that sway bar removal do any good on most other cars? If you're if you're dealing with a moderate, okay, if you're dealing with a moderate too high horsepower drag car, then no, sway bar is your enemy. You do not want a sway bar. Now, when you go to ultra high horsepower suspension cars, right, like 4-link cars that are dealing with over 2,000 horsepower or so, then yes, now you go to the point where a sway bar helps you. So it all just depends on what it is that you're dealing with.
426 Hemi. Kiwi, whatever happened to that 440 that what's his name was supposed to build for you? Yeah, I've still got it. Well, at least I should say he's still got it. I've got to go and get it one of these days when I get a spare 5 minutes.
I wonder how he's doing these days.
Yeah, I don't know.
Has anybody heard from him? Like, is he still around at all?
Yeah, I mean, he messages me every now and again, and I've got a rear axle in there at the workshop that's going in as Studebaker that I've got to narrow for him. But again, I've got to get around to doing that. So, which is is
he still building that car?
As far as I know, yeah.
That's like 2 years he's been working on this thing.
Oh, you're right. I got no room to criticize anybody on that.
Oh, I'm not criticizing. I'm surprised. I would have thought he'd have blown it out.
I think I haven't caught any of his videos for a long time, but he must be getting fairly well through it by now.
And I'll check in and see what he's doing. Let's see. The Mexican spec. I thought people wanted sway bars so their cars can handle. So when I talk about performance, okay, I have tunnel vision. To me, performance only means acceleration in a straight line. That's the only thing by a measure of 1,000 that I take into consideration. Kiwi, on the other hand, he likes to do this swooshing around and like this. He steps on the brakes and he swooshes around some more. He loves that stuff. So when I talk performance, I'm only talking in the dimension of going fast in a straight. They didn't go fast. I could care less about going fast. Accelerating in a straight line. And Kiwi is a more well-rounded, functional human who does all of the swooshing and the right, wee, and I'm just like and wee. Look at me, I'm Kiwi. Super chat. Oh. Thank you, sir. Good news. Found info on the 400 Ford. See, okay, yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. I was like, on Sunday night, right? This guy, Philip Reed, he jumps in there and he asks me, hey, where can I find information on the Ford 400? And I'm like, I'm saying to myself, dude, just Google it, right? But I was trying to be cool about it. I was like, well, let's see. So I went to the computer and I'm trying to find the specs on a Ford 400. And you know what? There's nothing. I went through like the first 2 pages, and everything that I clicked on was like, this much horsepower in this year in this car, and this many foot-pounds of torque, but nothing in there as far as specification. What's a compression ratio? What are rod main clearances? What cam is in it? Nothing. So he found it. Okay, good news. Found info on the Ford 400. It's the same motor as the Ford 351M, which I figured. Only difference between the two is the crank and pistons. The 351M is just a D-stroke 400. Okay. Well, I'm glad you found the information you're looking for. And All Blue 426, thank you again for the super chat. Well, maybe you can answer this. I'm having an issue with the converter working with this first generation /6 where the converter goes into the crank is too big. I have a 904 transition from the 80s. Yes, that's a common problem. So in 1967 and earlier /6s have the small pocket, and then 68 and newer have the large pocket. So I know the problem you're having. See, it's easy to go the early converter into the later crank. Okay, because then you can make it. I've seen people make those spaces out of wood because all you need is something just to hold the hub centered in the pocket of the crank. And there was a guy on eBay that used to sell the rings. He used to sell aluminum rings that you just pop in there and the job is done. That nub is solid. If you can find a machine shop, they could turn the nub down for you. But yeah, that's really your only option. Or if it's a stock converter, try to find. Oh, so it's from the 80s. It's a lockup converter. Have the nub turned down. That's the only thing I can tell you. It's the only thing I can recommend. Jay Weiss wants to know, how did Kimi change to driving on the other side of the road in the U.S.? Must have been tough. Well, there was a lot of carnage involved in that first couple of years. He was, he was the head-on king for a long time.
Oh yeah, I did meet a big semi truck coming the other way one day. No, I didn't really meet him, but I saw him coming, and I thought to myself, "What are you doing on the wrong side of the road?" And then suddenly the light bulb went on, and it's like, "Oh crap, it's me on the wrong side of the road." Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. And, when there's other traffic around, it's not too bad because you kind of go with the flow. If you're at a set of traffic lights and you're turning right or left, you kind of follow the cars in front of you. But yeah, it's certainly tricky in the early stages, and then you get a little confident with it, and that's when you start to, at first, you're very aware of it, you're hyper aware, so it's not really too dangerous. But then you get a bit more confident, you kind of relax a little bit, and then you'll pull out of a driveway or you'll pull out of a shopping, car park or something like that, and you go to the wrong side of the road if there's not someone right around you, and then suddenly you're a couple hundred yards going down the road on the wrong side of the road until you see someone coming the other way, and that's that's a bit of a heart-stopping moment at times. But yeah, and because the other thing is just remembering the correct side of the car to get into when you walk up to it, and I've done that. I've jumped in and sat down on the wrong side of the car and gone, crap. I had to get out and walk around to the other side. But it's more of a problem after you've been doing it for, 3-4 months is when I found it the most difficult, and where I was making mistakes because I've just got too confident.
Okay, so Jamie is saying we've converted a 904 to work with the smaller converter. It involves changing the whole input shaft and pump assembly. Yeah, but he's going to have to give up his lockup. See, that's the thing. There's no lockup converter for the earlier version. So I can't think of any way he'd keep the lockup and change that. Now, if it was a big block, if it was a 727, you can use the same case. You got to change. That's still not going to make any difference. Yeah, it's not going to work, man. There's no lockup feature for that. He can get it to work as a regular transmission if he wants to give up the lockup.
Stephen Machurik, he's also gotten in the wrong side multiple times. Okay, you feel my pain then, yeah? Yeah.
Let's see.
Zero, hey, if the postman can handle it on the daily, then it's all possible. Yeah, well, that's it. They're doing it on a daily basis, so yeah.
Yeah, but they're still driving on the right side of the correct side of the road. Correct, yeah. Meaning that we won the big war. So, yeah, you're driving on the wrong side of the vehicle, the other side of the vehicle, but you're at least on the proper side of the road.
Well, yeah. The thing that made it a little bit harder for me too, I was used to driving left-hand drive cars because that's where I had quite a few of them back in New Zealand. So you would be driving, basically on the gutter side of the road. So being on the wrong side of the road here was more normal somehow. It confused it a little bit further. Because I was relatively comfortable being in a car with a steering wheel on the left-hand side. So it was easier to drop back into the New Zealand format of driving. And it's like, ooh, that's wrong. They have real trouble. They have a lot of trouble in New Zealand because New Zealand has a lot of tourists, quite a few American tourists and from various parts of the world that are left-hand drive. And the rental cars have a sign on the dash saying, keep left.
Yeah.
Because they have quite a few bad accidents from tourists who they'll stop in a little viewing area or a little picnic area or something, and they'll pull back out onto the road and go to the incorrect side of the road for New Zealand. And next thing, it ends in tears.
Italian, German, and U.S. cars, all greats, all left-hand drive. You're welcome. Dude, everybody wants to drive like a winner. You see, this is it.
It is. It's crazy that we have the two different formats. Like someone should have got everybody on the same page and chosen a side of the road to drive on. Really, old cars and music. Too bad McLarens are so damn expensive. They solved the problem. Yeah, well, they've got a McLaren with the driver's seat in the middle.
I saw that they just scrapped like 50 cars.
Really?
McLaren did brand new cars because of some it was the hybrid version. It was some irreconcilable difference or issue with the battery pack.
Wow!
So they took 50 brand new McLarens and brought them directly to the scrapyard, directly to the crusher.
Oh,
this just happened like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow!
You can imagine that.
Whew. Well, you'd think there'd be something salvageable, wouldn't you?
I saw a video on another channel. Don't know the name of the channel, right? But they were going through a Copart yard, and there was a McLaren in there. It was like a yellow goldish color, right? Beautiful car, right? Beautiful car. And it was in there, and they're walking around, and they can't find anything wrong with the thing. It's like it's virgin, okay? But as it turns out, the case under, or the guard under the battery was cracked. And because of that, it was in the they totaled it and put it in the Copart yard.
Wow. That's crazy.
Chris is saying, I wonder if insurance required the cars to be fully scrapped for them to pay out the car. Most likely, yeah, probably. Yeah, what's it like? So, Southern Comfort 655. I can't imagine grabbing gears with my left hand. Yeah, how is that, Kiwi? Like, can you power shift with your left?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, it's when you grow up with that, when you start with that, and you don't know any different, it's perfectly normal, and it seemed very foreign driving a stick shifting with my right hand. That seemed very weird. But you just get used to it. I mean, there's more. I mean, I know most, the majority of people are right-handed, like that's their dominant hand. So it does make sense to shift with your right hand, but it's really actually quite easy. And once you do it enough, it just becomes that muscle memory, and it's a piece of cake. Like I rallied for years and years, a couple of decades. And rallying, you're up and down the gears like all the time because you're sliding from one corner to the next, and you're up and down the gears like hundreds of times.
Well, I would think that unless you're left-handed or ambidextrous, that you would have far less control with your left hand.
Yeah, no, your brain compensates and you learn. You learn, you really do. But yeah, a lot of the guys that rallied in New Zealand have ended up going to left-hand drive cars because of the high tech, the newer rally cars, all come out left-hand drive, or the WRC type cars. So they've had to adapt to left-hand drive, and yeah, they'll all say the same thing. It takes a good couple of rallies to get used to it, and then you just don't think anything of it.
Let's see. Terrence Seymour is saying we have plenty of drag strips here in New Zealand.
Yeah, Yeah, no, drag racing is popular in New Zealand. But drag racing, hot rodding, American cars, hugely popular. Hugely popular. KJ, sorry.
GT40
race cars. Yep.
Right-hand steering, right-hand shifter, because they wanted to win. Yes. Wait, GT40 cars, right-hand and right-hand drive, right-hand shifter. How does that work? You're sitting on the passenger side, the right side.
Yeah.
And how do you have the shifter on the right side when the transmission is on the left side?
Cable shifter, probably. Probably cable shifted. Most, a lot of front-wheel drive cars are cable shifted.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and the GT40 would have the motor in the back. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. And most of the open wheel cars, the smaller classes, not the F1 and the Indy cars, but the smaller classes that have a 4 or 5 speed transmission, the shifter is always on the right hand side.
Okay. See, I'm totally unaware of this stuff.
Yeah, the shifter's right hand side. Yeah, probably for that very reason that the majority of people are right hand dominant.
All right, let's get back to tech questions here. Junk removal, Orange County, California. Kiwi, does painting your aluminum radiator black help dissipate heat? I did it for looks, but here this is true. What you think?
That's a good question. I do know that there is a proper, like a correct black radiator paint that is designed to help dissipate heat. Like just hitting it with a $6 rattle can black paint is not, I believe, is not the correct thing to do. But there is actual there is actual radiator black paint that is formulated to help dissipate heat. Whether it's an advantage on an aluminum radiator, I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Okay, I could be wrong about this or off about this, but I had a buddy of mine who owned a radiator shop back in New York, and they used to use a paint specifically, I believe it was called a Japan, like same as the country.
Right.
Or maybe it was a different country. I don't know, but this is what I'm remembering. Like when he asked that question, that's what popped into my head. I think it's called a Japan. It's like a watery paint. It's a very watery paint. And it's black, obviously. And that's what they used to paint all of the radiators with.
Yeah, it's not like black lacquer rattle can paint. It's a formulated paint for radiators.
I'm sure somebody in here in the chat knows what I'm talking about better than what I'm talking about.
I mean, if it helps a copper brass radiator cool, why wouldn't it help an aluminum radiator cool? Kind of makes sense, really.
Yeah, I got to paint the radiator in slag hammer. It's got one of them aluminum radiators, and it's just like, I tilt over the nose, and there's this giant aluminum thing there, and it's always so long. Before I take the car out again, I gotta paint that.
And essentially, it's why you ask any radiator guy, aluminum radiator doesn't cool as well as a copper brass one. They're just cheaper to make.
Okay, so I was right. Chris Fearmaster. Japanning was an old process of painting metal black. Old woodworking hand planes are japanned. Okay. And it's made from beetle shell, according to J. Russell Finch. Interesting.
Well, you had the name right, Tony, so there you go.
Yeah. Now, is there any advantage to that particular paint when it comes to painting a radiator? Or was it something that they used just because it was the industry thing to use? Okay. Maccabees, Hand Tool Rescue has a great video on Japanning. It is indeed a watery paint coating. Yeah, it's just a vague memory. This is easy, 40 years ago. Oh God, yeah, at least 40 years ago. But yeah, I had my shop was in the front of the building, and his shop was in the no. I'm sorry, switch that. His shop was in the front of the building, and my shop was in the back of the building. So we were always back and forth together.
So the Hollis says, Kiwi, are you going to be able to polish that sandblasting out of the long roof windscreen, large Marge, or is it buggered? Do you need a new windscreen? The biggest problem with the windshield on that is it's got a several big cracks in it. One's top to bottom, and there's a bunch in one of the corners. So, but the card actually came with a new replacement windshield. Somebody on the line had bought a new windshield ready to put it in and never got to it. So yeah, it's getting a new one. And the sandblasting, even if it was good, is too deep to polish out. Well, it would take you way too many hours to polish it out for what it's worth. They're about a $400-$500 windshield.
Andrew Brown saying, so basically the paint is wet food in theory. You will paint with the bugs. A Mexican Specs bring up a good point. Kiwi, now you need a new gasket. Is that available?
No, it is not. I've not been out. There is somebody selling on eBay like a universal windshield rubber that you buy it, so many X amount of feet, and you basically butt join it and glue it together. But apparently it's not that close, and it doesn't go around the corners. Like there's a couple of tight corners on it, on the corners of the windshield, and it doesn't want to go around the corners that well.
You probably have to cut it and fill it with something.
Yeah.
Because I could picture the molded corner there, and that would be a very, very sharp.
Yeah, it's quite a tight corner, so it really needs to be a molded corner. But no, apparently, from what I can gather, there's not a gasket. They're not being reproduced. So, which is kind of surprising because, I believe it's the same windshield, 57, 8, and 9, and it's the same across. The different makes, the DeSoto, the Dodge, the Plymouth, the Chrysler. I believe it's all the same windshield. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I've been led to believe.
Christopher Messer is saying, I bet there's a company that can take a cross-section of the original molding and extrude replacement material. Yeah, and if you don't mind spending $75,000 for a windshield gasket, I think that would be a fantastic way to go. All right.
No, Billy Bob Holcomb. I have some left-handed cue balls if anybody needs to make a left-handed shift knob.
All right.
That's a question I've been asked on numerous occasions. Is the shift pattern on a stick shift does it mirror over to right-hand drive? But no, it doesn't. It's exactly the same layout.
Okay, first is where first is.
First is where first is, fifth is where fifth is, and yeah, that doesn't change. And I've also been asked if the pedals reverse, where the accelerator pedals are now on your left, and the clutch pedals on the right. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't mirror over. It slides over, but it doesn't flip flop over. So the accelerator is always on the right. And it's kind of funny when you think about it. They change the steering wheel from one side to the other, but they leave the pedal format exactly the same.
So Fixin' On It Garage is saying, Kiwi will take a gander at the Suburban Rubber at DVAP 46Z47. The same.
Desert Valley Auto Parts.
Okay, and they have a part number 56Z47?
I'm not aware of the part number, no. Okay, Fixing On It Garage. Yep. Okay, yeah, please do that, yeah. If it's any good. And the sun, unfortunately, in the desert tends to bake the rubbers, but like the rubber in large Marge is not in great shape. You might be able to use it again with a bunch of silicon and to try and patch up a few of the gaps and splits, but it's that's realistically what we're looking at doing at the moment.
All right, Kiwi.
Yeah,
we only have 30 seconds left.
Oh, wow. Yeah, look at the time. Wow.
It flew tonight, right?
Yeah.
Dude, anytime I can hang out with you, the time just like disappears. And I mean that in the most non-homo way possible. So Kiwi, what do we have to plug? What do you have going on in your what amazing videos are you going to put up this week?
Probably the most. I mean, I'll be doing another video on continuing upgrades to large Marge. I got some hubcaps for it off of Polara, so that's kind of given it quite a lift. So there's a few other things going on, replacing shocks and bushings, and got all new badges for it, and yeah, so she's coming along just slowly but surely. So that'll be probably one of the next videos coming up, is just updates on large Marge.
What's going on with that the fastback Cougar?
That's building the transmission tunnel and drive shaft tunnel for that at the moment. But yeah, we've had a couple of other little jobs in the shop that have kind of eaten up a little bit of time. But really nothing video worthy.
Yeah, if you guys, well, you say it's not video worthy, but if you guys are into like massive fabrication, that's something you want to check out. The fastback, the Coyote powered fastback Cougar that he's been building for the last 30 or 40 years. You're working on it. It's been around for a while.
Just seems that way, yeah. Yeah, but we've just been working on that, young guy's Mustang and swapping the motor. But I mean, motors, just swapping the same motor for the same motor is not really video worthy.
And your merch this week?
Next week.
Next week. Okay.
Next week.
We're gonna hold you to that, bro.
I need to. You'll call me tomorrow with the name of this guy.
I'll do better than that. I'll come there because I'm going to size up something I think I want to steal from you.
Oh.
I'll be by your place tomorrow.
I'll be sure and keep an eagle eye on you. Yeah.
Really watch me. Okay. Let's wrap this up. So everybody contributed super chat. Thank you guys so much. Always appreciate it. Never expected. Always appreciate it. Everybody contributed with just your presence and your conversation and your questions and just you being you. I'm going to speak for Kiwi. We genuinely are grateful for you. Thank you. We wouldn't do this stuff. There's no reason for us. Well, you what makes this possible for us.
Exactly.
Our awesome mods. Mexican Spec, Zero, Fubar, Ari. I don't think I saw Ari in here tonight, but he's always with us. Our mods are always around. Thank you, guys. Thank you as always. And I think that's it, right? Am I forgetting anything? Sub to Kiwi. If you're not already sub to Kiwi, go sub to Kiwi. Dr. Art's Hot Rod Rehab, go over there and sub to his channel. And we got Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage. Make sure that he, the best Mopar channel on YouTube, period, the end. There's nobody who's even a second close to that. So anything else you want to say, Kiwi?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to head off to bed. I'm getting a little bit of feedback from the bourbon and a little bit of feedback from the COVID. And yeah, I'm ready to kind of like lights out. I'm done.
I myself am done too. So that's it, guys. I'm going to pull the plug. We'll see you here on Sunday night for our usual Sunday Night Live. And I'm going to give you guys an update on the podcast soon, very soon. So that's it all. I'm pulling a plug. Say goodnight, Kiwi.
Hey, guys.
No, you're supposed to say goodnight, Kiwi. When I say goodnight, Kiwi, you're supposed to say goodnight.
Good night, Kiwi.
There you go. Vaudeville, baby.
Vaudeville.